NBA players, when they hear the rating, they're either happy, they're not happy. Usually they're not happy. Like,
usually not.
Usually not. But who comes up with, who decides the ratings?
Yeah, so it's not me, first of all.
Welcome back to In Shambles, the epicenter of hot takes and never before heard stories told by athletes themselves. I'm your host, Adam Garfield, aka Playmaker Garf, back for another episode. Joining us on In Shambles today, we have the face of the NBA 2K franchise, one of the most polarizing figures in the sports and gaming industry. You either hate him or love him, but you know his name. Please welcome Ronnie2K to In Shambles. Ronnie, how are we?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. How's your day going?
Yeah, great. We got a month left in the NBA season, so things are getting a little spicy in the league.
It's exciting.
A lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. So, want to get right into it.
Sure.
You went from working into a law firm to being the face of NBA 2K. I mean, I'm lucky if I can go from Chipotle to my house without shitting myself, to be honest. But take me through that journey of, from where you first started to where you are now.
Yeah, I think I know it sounds crazy, but like a lot of people that go to, high school, college, there's a lot of pressure to like pick your major and then like figure out your career. And I'm kind of a testament to like, don't do that early, don't really like set yourself into a career. I had a lot of pressure from my family. I'm first generation Indian kid, who had a lot of pressure to be like a doctor or an engineer or whatever. And so I settled in law, and, went to a top 5 law school for 9 weeks, really realized it wasn't for me and felt like I was doing it because of that pressure and not because it was something that I loved. And really for me, it was like about doing something that I did love and taking a risk and taking chances on myself and betting on myself. And so, while I was working at the law, I quit law school and then went to work for a law firm. But at the same time, like I wanted to dive into sports. So at first I worked for a women's basketball team, and then I worked for a minor league baseball team, which had a lot of stunty, fun stuff. And but in the meantime, I'd play NBA 2K. I was top 5 in the leaderboards in 2005.
Oh,
and
shit. I didn't know
in
that.
2008, this opportunity came about, and 15 years ago today, I began my career at 2K. At the time, it was to be a community manager, pretty much like any way that I could get in the door. And back then, community was really, the really passionate fans on the forums. And what's great about that is I learned a lot about, like, I already knew what a 2K fan wanted and appreciated, but hearing, all the points of view and being in those conversations, and I maintain obviously being in those conversations just on other social medias now, but it came from a passion about what we do and learning from the best of the best in our in our community, and then learning trends in marketing and kind of growing from there.
Wow, yeah, it's the best way to do it. I mean, you were there, and now you're running it. You're running the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I really think that learning the product and what makes people happy about it from a consumer standpoint, like, I think I had a lot of advantage being a super fan. Like,
definitely.
A lot of times, a lot of, people are trying to crack new and, like, learn new audiences, and you have to go outside of the industry to find people who get that. And I think, like, balancing the business is important. And so, like, I was the super fan that started using superfan strategies with this new emerging form of marketing to like make a career at 2K and bring value and show people that this was more than just a video game, that this was kind of a lifestyle brand. And it's been quite a journey, and obviously like we grew in terms of relevance, and celebrities started to mess with us, and athletes started to get really excited. And now, you look at it and it's like we're coming up on our 25th anniversary. And again, 15 years of that I've been here. And it's a totally different thing. It's means so much to so many people. There's NBA guys that come in the league now that have literally played the game their entire lives, and it's legit, and they learned about basketball even more through our game than basketball itself, which is just amazing. And so, like, for us to be a platform to be a fan of the NBA and sports and video games is just so cool.
Really is. And it sounds cliche, but like it really does bring people together. I mean, playing for people across the world, you're playing with friends in your house. It really brings people together. It's a beautiful thing.
We built an online community of like people like trying to connect people, and not only just to play games, but to be a platform for good and a movement. You know, I'm sure you saw during the pandemic, like 2 really big instances of that. Like a lot of people were sitting at home, so we had a responsibility to be a platform to connect people and keep people entertained. And so, you know, we did the ESPN Players Tournament, and you got to see all these NBA players talk trash on a totally different level.
I remember Pat Bev during that. He was
Pat
talking nonstop.
Was a superstar of that. And then, you know, like we obviously with everything going on with BLM during the pandemic too, for us to like make a statement about that in the game, and really everybody be like, of course 2K is making a statement on that. Makes so much sense. Was very that's what part of building a platform is. Like, you have a responsibility to entertain, educate, and make civilization better. I mean, I know it sounds crazy that a video game would have that kind of moral compass and purpose, but we definitely do.
What's so funny is that, like, you know, I agree. From the outside perspective, it's like, why would a video game mean so much to people? But for a lot of kids, I mean, you're at school most of the day. What do you do when you get home? You're playing video games or you're eating dinner. But for the most part, you're playing video games. That's your pastime. So,
and they're also making friends, you know, like I'll never forget, as we've grown kind of our, you know, online modes, when it went from, you know, playing My Player, but then Crew and Jordan Rec Center and Pro-Am and all of these like friend-making devices that we have in the game. You know, we started the 2K League, and what was so cool to me about the 2K League was these kids who had played together for years online were meeting each other in person for the first time, and now had to become kind of a unit and a team in person. That's the kind of thing that like we're making lifelong friendships too, and that's what is so great about gaming.
Of course, I love it. You know, as the face of NBA 2K, obviously you get a lot of hate. Most of the time, it's not warranted. But, you know, how do you deal with getting that hate? I mean, you could scroll on Twitter and look up Ronnie2K.
No, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. Like, I know what I'm responsible for at the organization, and we have the most passionate fan base, you know, like, because it's gaming and it's sports and it's competitive. And so, like, you're going to get a very vocal community, and I love that. Like, it drives us to be better, and I don't see it as hate. I see it as engaged.
That's a great way of looking at it.
And what's great about that is, you know, like, we want to put out the best product, and you know, among all the annualized titles that come out every year, we do innovate the most, and that's gonna, you know, like, be controversial sometimes because everybody has their favorite 2K of the past, you know, 10 years, and I'd say only about 10% of them like the last one the most. You know, even we're cracking new and making a new audience, but like, people have a soft spot for, like, I have a soft spot for 2K11 for different reasons, because that was the first time we put MJ on a cover, and that was when I felt like the lifestyle thing took a whole new level, and I remember that marketing campaign really well. Like, everybody's got their own soft spot for a different 2K. So how do you trump what is the best in your mind? Having done this for 15 years, like, there's obviously ones that stand out from the past. So I worry about what I can control, which is to continue to innovate the lifestyle aspect of our business as much as possible. You know, get this game in front of as many people as possible. Make it a platform for discovery. Like, give fashion designers and music designers and gamers the ability to have an audience. Even Make-A-Wish kids, right? Like, we have the program where a Make-A-Wish kid has a logo in the game. He gets to tell his story about why he is a Make-A-Wish kid and what Make-A-Wish means to him. Like, that's examples awesome. Like that are what this platform should be about. So in terms of what I actually do, the feedback I get for that is great. The feedback for things I don't do, like fix the game and fix the servers, is out of my control.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine it's frustrating only because it's like, look, I don't even.
It's really not actually.
Really?
I have these conversations in interviews all the time, and people are always asking me like about the polarizing thing, and I don't think it's polarizing at all. Like when I go to All Star or we do a court opening or whatever, I have so many kids that come up to me, and that like that is what this is about, right? Like to be means so much to the next generation and be able to do that. Online trolls, it doesn't really matter. It's not. It's
and the thing is like if they're tweeting, they obviously care. And they care. They care about.
I never have bad in-person relations. Like it's
it's
very,
the Twitter
very
fingers.
rare.
The Twitter fingers. It's all that.
I think it's part of the generation. You look at people that are just universally beloved, like Steph Curry and like Drake, and you read their social media comments, and it's also bad. So I don't think my situation's actually any different. I think gaming in general and how competitive sports and gaming are maybe puts a laser focus on it, especially when the player the NBA players are part of our community. So when they're hating on ratings, right? Like that's also another thing to be like, oh, let's lump on. That to me is again engaged and fun and brings more audience to our game and is something that I really enjoy.
Yeah. Zach, very well said. So you mentioned the Make-A-Wish program and how they get a logo. And, I've done some research, and you have, a lot of experience in community service and giving back. So I'd love to hear about, what you guys do at 2K giving back to communities.
Oh, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, I mean, I brought up some of the BLM, the thing we did with BLM, and but Make-A-Wish, I'm just completed my 60th Make-A-Wish recently.
It's incredible.
Which is crazy, like for kids to be able to wish for anything and for them to wish to be part of the 2K process is just like super mind blowing. Not just for me as the the face of the organization, but for all of the people that work so hard on this product and to know that it's making a difference on that level. We had a wish kid, Will Floyd, a couple years ago who was brought in. He wished to meet the developers of the game. So we obviously blew that out. We put him in the game. He was the first person scanned and put in the game. But that wish continues to grow, because then he became part of the logo program and kind of like helped me host like identifying other wish kids and giving them the platform to tell that story. But then now, like totally unbeknownst to me, he applied for a job with Visual Concepts, the producers of NBA 2K, and got the job.
Wow.
Without any help whatsoever from me. And like, what a full circle story,
That's so full circle.
Like this kid had an illness and a critical disease, and now has made it into a lifelong career. It's pretty remarkable.
I just got goosebumps, honestly. I mean, so for full circle, and I'm sure it's an amazing feeling, to see that happen.
I mean, like again, like what is the point of building a platform? And when I talk about platform, I don't even mean my own social media audience. I mean a platform that is NBA 2K, unless it's also to grow the next generation of gamers and fashion designers, all of that. Like I'm really proud that we put on a lot of musicians and we put on a lot of fashion guys. They get their first break because they're in NBA 2K and people see their clothes digitally and then want to go purchase it in real life. I think that's super special as well. We're becoming a information source for people who are looking for the next best thing, which is really awesome about what a platform should aim to be.
Yeah, I've heard some bangers on the soundtrack and I've added it to my playlist.
We really have put on some amazing new artists, and
I have some tracks.
We actually just recently, you'll see it soon. We just opened up we have the 2K Foundations program where we open up courts across the nation and like kind of racially injustice, less served communities across the nation. I think we're up to like 39 or something. Wow. Ethan can confirm the number, but we actually just opened up our first music studio, and
really?
It totally makes sense. Like, why wouldn't 2K also look for the next? I mean, we're looking for the next generation of basketball players. That's why we have 2K Foundations to help with our hoops efforts. But why not also do it for music? We put on music stars, so why not give back and try to grow, the ability to make music, because it's so important to our game as well. Wow. And wouldn't it be amazing if an artist came out of there and became a huge artist, and 2K was a part of that? Like that would, and then they're on the soundtrack and their career develops. Like that's what we're trying to do, and that's again the power of gaming and the power of having a platform like this.
Wow. Yeah, I'll send you some of my samples later.
Okay.
I got some good ones. So 2K, it's ever so changing. You guys are always updating, adding new features, and I saw recently that you've been adding NFL players into the game. So I'd love to hear, what's the mindset, mentality with that.
Yeah, so I've been talking to NFL players for a long time. We have, I mentioned earlier, the logo verification program. So if you're an NFL guy, you reach out to me. I verify you in game, which means in the game you have a football over your head, and people will try to get games with you knowing that you're a football player. We took it a whole nother level, right? Like people want to see diversity and kind of fun stuff in my team. So we put in Deebo Samuel, Dak Prescott, Jalen Ramsey into the game, into my team. And they're obviously like have such basketball interest. They play 2K all the time. Deebo's, I think, 22. He played 5,700 hours or something. It's nuts. I'm like, dude, how are you an NFL player? Like, how do you have that much time? But it's all he does. He's told me, he's like, I don't go out. I don't do anything. I play 2K and I practice. That's all I do. Wow. So I'm like, okay, if that's your division of time, then that makes sense. But just taking it again, trying to innovate and open it up to people that love our game, and our fans get a real kick out of it and get to see how LeBron James looks with Deebo Samuel on the court. It's kind of interesting, that crossover. You hear it all the time. Like if LeBron hadn't been an NBA player, would he have been an NFL tight end? Probably, right? So we want to see that work out in our world, in our game. And so that was a really fun project, and I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Is Dak's passing accuracy pretty low?
That's pretty good. He actually was really proud of like being a great dribbler. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So how do you decide on the ratings for the NFL players?
Yeah. Well, in my team, it's a little bit more fantasy related, right? Like, at the end of the season, there's a lot of Galaxy Opals because we want to allow our consumer to play with whoever they want. And there's certain ways you build teams and whatnot. Early in the life cycle, it's usually obviously lower. We want to be like authentic, but it's the same kind of tangibles, athleticism, the small sample of video that we have of them playing basketball. It's fun to kind of speculate on that stuff, and that's what's great about having a video game.
That's sick. It's really sick. Which NBA 2K was your favorite? I know you mentioned 11. But which one's your favorite?
I mean, 11 stands out to me so much because like that was the first time we really did the Legends thing, and it just felt like that's when we jumped into like the mainstream for the first time. Obviously, there's been a lot of examples of that after that, but 11 was just so memorable because we worked with this cast of NBA players that was so cool, and it was the first one where I really feel like I sunk in a lot. Like, obviously, I've been here since 2K8, but like 11 felt like the first time I was really making like an imprint of what I had learned from the community, and like it had impacted the game, but it also impacted how we market. There's other ones, throughout the years. It's funny, if you saw my wall, I have a plaque of every single one, so I can easily do this. 16 was fun with the 3 cover athletes that we had.
Yeah, that was a good
and like some of the panel stuff we did. 17 was a really fun game because it like took Parks to another level. Run the Neighborhood in 18. I mean, there's a lot of memories, and yeah, like I said, today's my 15-year anniversary, so I'm definitely reflecting on a lot of them. It's been a great ride.
Maybe here's the many more years.
Yeah,
many more
definitely.
years. So we touched on it before a little bit with the NFL players. So NBA players, when they hear the rating, they're either happy, they're not happy. Usually they're not happy. Like,
Usually not.
Usually not. But who comes up with, who decides the ratings? What's
so
the
it's not
with
me, first of all. I got enough going on. We do have a great team of people that watch, I can't even tell you, like hours upon hours of basketball. But we also do have some formulaic stuff, but there's ways to adjust that with the team. And so it's a panel of a bunch of guys. I weigh in. I don't, change things, but like I can definitely be like, hey, this guy feels like this. Hey, the community feels like this. Like, and I do. But for the most part, like I am the messenger in what has become one of the hottest topics every summer with, some of the biggest names in sports. But there's 30 plus mini attributes, everything from tangibles and intangibles off the court stuff, AI, like IQ, all that stuff. And they all kind of mix together and pop out this one number, and this number is super controversial all the time. But you know what's funny about it? Like I always say, and I don't get a lot of like pushback on this, is if you look at like them in rank, it always makes sense. Like think what you want of the number. Like we do ours different. We don't have like a 99 club. We're doing it over the course of history. So like the only 99 in our game is 95, 96 Michael Jordan, who had the greatest season of all time. And everything kind of falls in line under that. Obviously my team's different, but that historical things keeps the ratings really down. So I know you're going to ask me about it, so I'll just address it right now. The Klay Thompson thing. So
Klay Thompson.
What was fun about that one is if you think about the last 8 years and you look at how many aggregate threes Steph has made over everybody else in the league, it is more than 10% more over the not just over the sum. I mean, like every year except the year he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
Every year it's 10% plus. So at some point the rating was going to kind of like fall in line with that same thought process, right?
Yeah.
So Steph's a 99, Klay and I believe it's KD and Dame are all 88, something like that. And they were at the beginning of the season. 10%, right? So
right.
Conceptually it makes sense. To Klay, it didn't. And him and I talked about it a lot on the internet. And we got to a great place. And me and Klay have known each other for a long time. I actually saw him a couple weeks ago, and he was like, oh, I saw your wedding pictures, and you, me, Festus, and Harrison Barnes used to hang out all the time. It was so great seeing the three of you guys at the wedding. And like, we're really good friends. He lives right down the street from me. But he was hot. And I believe he's hot because he's just like the other 450 amazing NBA players that we get to watch every night, in that he's super competitive and he needs a chip on his shoulder. He was really upset about the ESPN rank last year. You probably remember being number 77 or whatever.
That was completely understandable too. He should have been on that list.
Yeah, no, he should have been in the top 75 for sure. And he is the second best 3-point shooter in NBA 2K, which is absolutely correct, right?
Fair.
But it's just I think the delta kind of threw him off. But if you step back and you think about those kind of aggregate numbers, it totally makes sense. So I think our ratings team does a tremendous job. What's the struggle is these guys are ultra competitive, and honestly, the thing I think that upsets them the most is like being compared to their like people at their same position that they think that they're better than. Like that's always the most contentious thing, because then they're like, I'll just go out and perform and you'll see that I'm better than this guy. So it's been amazing to see, like every year it's a new guy that's popping off about it, and it means so much. But I get it. Like these guys have played NBA 2K their whole lives. They got to the league, which means obviously they get to make a lot of money doing an amazing sport, but they also get to be in this video game that means so much to so many people. So they want to make sure that they are captured the best, which means they all want a 99 rating. So we can't.
Let's be honest. A lot of them.
You can't give away 450 99s. I'm sorry.
cannot. So why do you think these guys take it to heart so much? Do you think it's because of the
No, I think it's that. I
competitiveness?
think that like they've been this game just means so much because it's been around forever and it is the benchmark for their conversations. Like forget them playing in the locker room, like they know that it means a lot like to everyone, and it is something that's just kind of held up as a very meaningful thing, and to be in that position where they're so upset means it's meaningful. And so I mean, for a lot of these guys, like I say it all the time, but like getting drafted was 1A and being in NBA 2K is 1B. And when it's that important, of course you're going to be upset about your rating.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Very fair. So you had mentioned Michael Jordan being the highest rated 2K player ever, correct?
That guy.
Correct?
Yeah. He was 95, 96. Michael Jordan is the highest rated player in the game.
Okay, so who do you think is the GOAT, LeBron or...
Oh, yeah. I've said it a bunch of times. I think LeBron needs... It's 1 and 2, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I grew up in the Jordan era, so I'm probably biased in a lot of ways that kids are biased towards LeBron. Totally understandable. I got to watch a lot of MJ. But for me, like... The championships make a difference. Now, I don't think LeBron needs to win 6 to be the greatest of all time, but I think he needs a couple more. He's got 3, right? Does he have 3 or 4?
I think he has 4 now.
Well,
I believe he is.
The bubble one
he has 4.
Whatever. But
does the bubble one count?
Yeah, I always forget that one. But okay, I think he needs to tie Jordan then. I don't think he needs to surpass him, but I think he needs to get at least 2 more. He needs to get 2 more. That's what I feel.
Fair. I think LeBron's like the most dominant player, but Michael Jordan's the best
100%.
basketball player. If that makes sense.
And I read this quote that MJ said, which is, I wish I memorized it, but because I'm going to butcher it. But he himself years ago said that there is no greatest player of all time; that there's a greatest player of every generation. He said it himself, and he's right. But there is a greatest player of all time, and that's what's great about 2K, because you can it's the one place where you can play prime Jordan versus prime LeBron and try to figure this thing out. And but in my mind, it's definitely Jordan. That's why he's decorated on my walls everywhere. MJ is the GOAT.
Yeah, I think I didn't get to watch MJ personally. I'm a little younger, but you got to respect him. Whether or not I watch him, you got to respect it. I mean,
yeah,
there's a reason.
No, it was a totally different thing. Like, people compare his competition and all that stuff. You just have to watch the guy and watch hours and hours. I mean, I was such a diehard basketball fan as a kid. Obviously, I still am. But, like, I watched so much of Jordan, and it's just so hard to get me off of that. Now, I can't deny numbers, right? Like, another guy who I always thought was the greatest of all time was Joe Montana. I'm a huge 49ers fan. I've lived in the Bay Area my whole life. I can't deny that Tom Brady is better than Joe Montana. It's tough because I watched so much Joe Montana, but the championships, the numbers, the everything, the longevity, all of that stuff that LeBron has most of, they're real close. But
they're neck and neck.
Brady over Montana, however, Jordan over LeBron still.
Fair.
Let's see. Maybe another 3 years, he wins another championship or 2. Revisit.
He's gonna watch this and have that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
Ronnie,
exactly.
I'm gonna prove it to you.
I'm sure this is the most important thing to him. I mean, what the guy has done though is just incredible. To be that heralded, to have that much of a spotlight, him, and you talk about building a platform for good. Like LeBron, in my eyes, has just done so many amazing things with obviously the I Promise School, and we partnered with him on a foundations court at the I Promise School, put a basketball court there. He's done amazing things for the community, and that's what your legacy is. That's what you're remembered by. And obviously, like, as part of the Make-A-Wish board in San Francisco, watching MJ celebrate his 60th birthday by giving $10 million to Make-A-Wish, that was pretty remarkable as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. So a little bit back to the ratings here.
Yes.
You told me once, well, you didn't tell me, but I remember hearing it in an interview. It's one of my favorite moments from, watching you on social media, TV, is that NBA players tried to bribe you to get their rating up. So I was wondering if if you could share, something that might have been offered to you in exchange for a higher rating.
That might have been what? I mean, there's been all of that's been out on the internet. There were dinners, shoes, all that stuff. There was worse than that, which I'm sure if you dig, like, you can figure it out. But all in all, like, again, it's just a remarkable thing that it means that much. And you know what the crazy thing is? Like, any of these guys go have an amazing night on the court, they can change their rating. This rating thing is not like a single number that doesn't move. It's a dynamic thing that updates every single week, really updates every day. We need a little bit of a sample size, but like, you ball out, your rating can go up. I mean, there's a few guys that have gone from like high 80s to mid 90s this year. Like Shea's a pretty good example of one. So like, let your game do your talking instead of your Twitter game. That's what I would recommend.
I like it. So gotta ask you here.
Yes.
Question of the day. You ready for this?
Yep.
Who will be remembered more in 25 years from now? Damian Lillard, Paul George, or Jimmy Butler? I can go first, or you can go first. You tell me.
Huh.
I'll go first while you think, all right? I'll go first. So,
okay.
To me, I think it's Dame.
Yeah.
These guys have a lot in common in the fact that they've made all NBA teams, they've been in the MVP conversation, they've won awards, they don't have a ring, right? And so what do people remember is they remember moments from your career. And out of these three guys, I think Dame has more moments, especially in the playoffs, buzzer beaters, dropping 71. I mean, he's created so many moments in the NBA that people talk about, and he's probably the only one of these guys who's going to have his number retired too. I mean, he's been with the same franchise. I mean, he's also known for the long range shooting just behind Steph. I mean, Dame does it just as much. So to me, I'm going Dame. What do you think?
When you asked me, my impulse was Dame right away. I am very close with PG, like really good friends. Legitimate, like not, and out of the NBA world, we'd be friends. But I think the staying on the same team thing, and that's obviously helped Jordan as well in this conversation, is a big one, because all those moments you think of that Trailblazer uniform. He will have every franchise record that there is. Like, that's the kind of stuff that matters. I think Paul George ends up with more defensive players, all defensive players, and he probably ends up with similar all-stars, maybe even more. And Jimmy's a winner for sure, but like, it is the moments, and it is the single franchise, and that's why 25 years from now you'll probably think of Dame when you think of those three. But you picked 2K, three guys, none of whom have a ring, right? Well, no, Jimmy has a ring.
No, Jimmy doesn't have a ring.
None of them have a ring. So that's the tricky part. Like, there's very few guys that are transcendent memorable outside of going and doing a career in media that stick around in your minds that don't win a ring. So all three of those guys, that's subject to change too. Let's see if one of them can win a ring.
Yeah. Who knows? But we're going Dame. So a big topic of discussion this year was the NBA All-Star Game. I know you guys had and did the 2K show, 2K TV, from the All-Star Game too. So how do you think there could be improvements made to the All-Star Weekend?
They were trending in the right direction, and then I don't know what it was about this game. The defense thing is a struggle. I don't know. That one's a tough one, because they're going to have to get more aim towards the demographic that's aspiring to watch basketball. Just like we think about Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like the NBA needs to start thinking about that as well. And they do. They do it. They're the best league at it, so I shouldn't say that. But how do we get that weekend to look better? Maybe more styles of games that we have in our game, like 1-on-1, 3-on-3, like that kind of stuff would be interesting. Things you wouldn't see during the regular season. I mean, you see the NFL is moving in that direction with some of their skills challenges. As long as they don't play defense, it's not basketball. So like, that's the challenging part, Yeah. And then
I like,
obviously the earlier events, like it's much cooler to see Dame win the 3-point contest than I loved watching him, but Mac McClung winning the dunk contest, like you just want to be invested more in the storylines behind these guys. And you didn't really know much about Mac unless you were a hardcore basketball fan. Obviously, I did. I know him a little bit. But unless you're a core basketball fan, it's hard to bring. We always keep talking about crack new, but getting new audience to come in if the guy isn't a superstar. So
yeah, it's hard to get these big name players to do the dunk contest too. And a lot of it, I think, is a lot of it, I think, is the way it's judged and the almost ego if they lose.
Well, yeah, it's like a nothing to lose type thing. But so is the ratings thing, by the way, if you think about it. Like the rating, getting involved in the ratings discussion, you don't really have anything to gain, and these guys know it, but like they still do because they feel an emotion about it. You got to somehow figure out how to get that emotion involved into that weekend, and I hope they do because
I hope so.
All Stars fun. It's good to see everyone. Like I've had a lot of great memories at All Star doing various marketing shoots, or we've thrown esports competitions at All Star. So we've had a great time, and you just want everyone to be more invested in that weekend.
I think if they add in the one-on-one competition, because that would be big. Because nobody's just going to let you storm past you in a one-on-one because it's personal.
Yeah.
It's personal.
That's what I'm talking about. If it was a little bit more like our video game itself, what you see there, I think people would be stoked.
I also think they should go back to East versus West. And the draft was entertaining, I will say that, but have something at stake. Like, I know it kind of messes up, like, the first seed with home court advantage, but give the winner of the All-Star game home court advantage in the finals.
Yeah. It's got to mean something.
It's got to mean something.
They'll figure it out. There are so many brilliant people at the NBA, and it is the most innovative league. So, like, I'm fully confident that they've identified it as an issue, and they'll do something about it.
Yeah. Who's your favorite player to play with in 2K?
In 2K? My favorite guy in the league, period, is Kevin Durant, and he's super fun to play with in 2K. Giannis is super fun to play with in 2K as well. It just depends on the game. Joel Embiid, I just did a one-on-one competition in Blacktop against, I think it was 12 fans at All-Star, and I played Joel Embiid every single one, and I won 11 of them. So everybody's like, he has no time to play 2K anymore, but I'll still give you that smoke. That's for sure.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty good. My favorite's Desmond Bane.
We'll have to make
weird
that
choice.
Well,
Desmond Bane, he has the best release. Dude, I dropped 60 with him. He has the best release in 2K. I'll give you one day. We'll match up against.
Yeah,
you.
We'll shake it up.
But I love playing as Blake Griffin because of his dunk package. A little bit, a couple years back before where he's at now, but his career.
Well, there's history of certain guys over the years being amazing. I think it's Shane Battier in 2K11. Obviously, J.R. Smith was God in 2K9.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the other one? Gerald Green was amazing back in the day. These uber athletic guys. It's not so much anymore. Now it's very evened out balance. But back in the day, you had 3-and-D guys, and that's all you needed to be really good at 2K. But it's so much more balanced that it's fun now. There is no guy that outplays who he is on the real court really anymore.
Yeah, I agree. But Blake Griffin was one, for example, where I would just dunk on my boys. I would just Blake Griffin fast break dunk. I mean, notable guy in the NBA. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
He is very close. Yeah, he's so close.
I think he's a Hall of very good.
The NBA has enough leniency, and he had a really huge peak where he'll get in.
You think so?
It's close, though.
Hall of very good in my eyes. He's a Hall of very good in my eyes.
Yeah. But the NBA, there's a lot of very good players there in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he'll get there.
Hope so. Real quick, who's the most dominant team in 2K?
Well, now it's the Suns. I mean...
Yeah. Is it cheating if you play with the Suns?
They were already really, really good and really fun to play with, and now you put KD on that team.
Yeah.
Lights out.
Is it cheating if you play as the Suns against your friends?
Yeah. That's literally what I tweeted when that trade went down. I'm like, okay, Suns have been banned from Quick Game. But I mean, to put together that roster, it always makes 2K more fun to have one of those crazy teams.
You play them, you're always playing against like the Bucks or the Warriors or the Net, or not the Nets anymore.
Yeah.
But you got to play a good team with them. Last question: what can we expect next from NBA 2K?
I mean, we're going to continue to innovate. Obviously, like I always say this, but with the game of basketball, there's so much more opportunity to do more and like bring more cultural elements, bring more basketball elements, like get the game even closer to real life, because the game and the NBA innovates in a way that like the other sports don't. So every year, even back in 2K11, since I mentioned it, like I was like, oh my god, we put Jordan in the game, and we put all these legends in the game. What are we going to do next year? And like every year, now 13 years later, we are figuring out a way to be innovative, bring the best entertainment product that we can for our fans, and continue to push the envelope. But we're also just scratching the surface. There's just so much more that we believe we can do, and the technology is only getting better, and the thought of ideas is only getting better. Our reach into culture is only getting better. So like, it's a really exciting time in this industry, and really looking forward to what's next.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been playing it since 2K9, honestly, with Kevin Garnett on the cover. But
for sure,
maybe one day I'll get a little microphone next to my name. But Ronnie, thank you so much for coming on In Shambles. Loved hearing what you had to say. Anything you want to say before you leave?
No, I mean, obviously, NBA 2K is coming up again in the fall. We have our other fun games at 2K, like WWE 2K23 comes out next month. And that should be a lot of fun. PGA is out, and it's super fun. If you haven't picked up that game and you're a golf fan, you got to get it. So, yeah, should be more great stuff from 2K, and I'm excited as we go forward.
Let's get it. All right, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Garf's Top 5. Today, we are doing the top 5 coolest names in the NBA. Let's go. Number 5, Desmond Bane. He's got the Batman villain in the last name. Just it flows off the tongue very nice. Desmond Bane. I like it. Number 4, De'Aaron Fox. Having a cat as their last name is pretty cool. Garfield, I respect it. It also, again, flows off the tongue very nice. Number 3, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I love the repetitiveness of this. Stick to their core values there. It's pretty appealing. Pretty appealing name. Number 2, LaMelo Ball. I mean, that's a basketball name right there. LaMelo Ball. Last name's Ball. Got Melo in there with a La. So, that's hands down. It could be number 1. Could be number 1. Up for debate. But for number 1, the coolest name in the NBA right now is Bismack Biyombo. I don't even know how you could come up with a name like that. It doesn't sound like a real name, but it's sick. Bismack Biyombo. It's just an onomatopoeia in a name. I'm a fan. Bismack Biyombo, you're our guy. You're welcome anytime on the show. Who is in shambles today, ladies and gentlemen? Ja Morant is in shambles. So allegedly, the story is that he beat up a 17-year-old kid, punched him 13 times. By the way, they said 12 to 13 times. I don't know why they just couldn't pick one, but punched him that many times, flashed a gun at him. Apparently, Ja was acting in self-defense. I don't know. Nobody knows what the real truth is, but I mean, you're one of the faces of the NBA, man. Like you can't be doing it. You can't handle situations like this. And what does a 17-year-old kid have you acting in self-defense for? And there's also another allegation, or this might actually be some truth to it, but Ja's mom calls him from a Finish Line in a mall in Memphis, the shoe store. Ja shows up with 9 other people, and they get into a shoving match with the security director of the store. It's like, dude, I get that's your mom. You got to defend your mom, 100%. But why are you showing up with 9 different people? Why do you have to escalate the situation? No, I'm not just saying it was Ja's fault that it escalated. It could have been anybody. But you're the most popular guy in Memphis. You cannot get away with anything now. You have nothing to prove. Like, we know you're hard. We know you're tough. Like, you don't have to prove that to anybody. And the way it's going, you could put your career in jeopardy. But you're in shambles.